I have a lot of big announcements to make, and it's the return of the rewrite of Game of Thrones. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
Alright, so I have a bunch of big announcements to make. I don't know if they're really big announcements, but it's stuff that I need to talk about. So I'll try to go through those really quickly. Just let me give you a quick reminder that you can listen to the podcast in the iHeartRadio app. Just type in The Show Presents Super Dario World, or you can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube as Super Dario World Podcast. Now, I had a big weekend. I'll get into that. Oh, I might save that for tomorrow. Doesn't really matter. Well, the big announcement, the first one is that I'm back in video, doing video once again. I just waved at the camera. You can find the video on YouTube later today. This is something I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing again daily. I'm going to return to doing this daily. Before I was getting into the groove of things, and then I got distracted by having to record the P1 podcast. But I think I already have that set up in a way that I can do this once again. I also brought my other computer here, so while one's rendering, I can edit out the other, and hopefully it'll work out. I'm going to be testing it out this week, but either way, I'm gonna do it. I came to a conclusion. Well, not really a conclusion. It's just I remembered something that I already knew. Does that count as reaching a conclusion? I don't know. But I came to the realization or to the decision of doing it because I remembered there's something that I knew, and for some reason I forgot it, that a plan without clear objectives and a timeline is just a dream. So now I gave myself the timeline, and I gave myself the objectives, and I'm going to do it. So speaking of that, again, from this point on, unless I have like a crazy busy day or something that I need to run out of here, which happens, I will be doing videos. You can find them on YouTube later on in the day. The podcast should be up around, I always aim for around noon to 1 p.m. The video will be way later. I'm not sure if I'm even going to load it here in studio. I'm gonna test it out this week. I'm going to see if it's better to edit out here or if it's better to just edit out at home and just have it rendered while I do other stuff, but record it here. I don't know. Point is, I don't think you care about the logistics, but it will be loaded on every single day. That is my objective. That is my new clear objective, and I'm going to be doing it for every single one. So that's one piece of news. The second piece of news is that I've decided, and I will be doing the podcast in Spanish. I have a name for it. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because I don't want people to steal the name from me. So it's not going to be that creative, but I already got it. And I decided it's not going to be like this one that I do one every single day. It's probably just going to be a weekly thing. I'll test it out once a week, see how that goes. But if it's only going to be once a week, I may do it a little bit longer. What am I going to talk about? Same as this one, whatever the fuck I want. Plus, I'll be saving up some topics from throughout the week, things that I've noticed, things that we didn't get to on the show, things that we got on the show, but I didn't get a chance to participate on because I have a lot of opinions on every single thing we talk about here on the show. So I might just save that, all that stuff. I'm going to compile it, and I'm just going to rant in Spanish. So I'll be doing that once a week, starting next week. This week, I'm just going to be doing all logistic stuff. Like, for example, like what I mean by logistics, I'm not sure which channel I'm going to load it on yet. For example, because as you've noticed, I have my podcast. You can find it one or two ways. One is through The Show Presents, or the other one is Super Dario World Podcast. I need to decide which one is going to go through. I think it's most likely going to be Super Dario World Podcast, just because, The Show Presents, it's in English. It's fully in English. The other one I can do in Spanish. It could be its own separate thing. I think it'd be easier that way, just because of the website. I don't know. I need to check logistics. I need to open up a channel. And if you guys remember back in the day, if you're day ones, I need to throw something away. Sorry. If you're day ones, you'll remember that at the beginning it was really hard to get it on SoundCloud and YouTube and iTunes. SoundCloud and YouTube, I don't even know what I said that. Those were pretty easy. But the iHeartRadio app and iTunes, it was pretty complicated, and it took for fucking ever. It was really annoying. It was kind of an ongoing bit. So I decided that I'll just do it through the other one, that it can go directly into it. And eventually, once it gets approved, then it'll be its own separate thing. It's a process. Again, I don't know if you care about the logistics, but I'm letting you know it will happen. It will come out eventually. No, not eventually. Next week. A plan needs clear objectives and a timeline. I got my timeline kind of set up. It's next week. I need to pick a day. I need to make a logo. I need to set up a separate account. The day is a tricky one. What day of the week? What day feels like a good Spanish day? I can't. A part of me wants to do it Mondays because Mondays, I do the rewrite of Game of Thrones, so I don't really get into a bunch of topics. So I could do the rewrite of Game of Thrones and then just get into a whole bunch of topics in Spanish. I'm not sure yet. I need to decide. There's a lot of things I need to decide, and I'm gonna give myself this week to do it. But it's decided. Next week, starting next week, it will be done. Over the weekend, I got to test out. I got to do a beta test for the new Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. It's basically a remake of the original one. I will be doing a review for ReviewNation.net. It will come out probably. The video version will be out tomorrow, but the article, I'm going to try to write it today. I'm not sure how my day is going to look because Sky wants me to help her move into her new house. I'm not sure if it's going to be today or not because who knows when the fuck she's going to move into her new house. Like, literally the whole weekend, I was waiting for her to just send me a text and be like, can you come over now to help me move stuff? So, I don't know. I'll try to make it today because I tend to procrastinate on writing down reviews. I don't know why. I hate writing things down. I could do a video review all day. I could do a video review an hour, every single hour, plus rendering and all that stuff. But writing it down, it's horrible. It's horrible. But anyway, the point is, I'll let you know when it's up. But if you want the 10-second version of it, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's back to basics, and I highly enjoyed it. I'm not a big... should I say it? Should I? I'll save it. But the point is I had fun. It was enjoyable, if that's what you care about. Also, another thing that I want to get into. So those are the big three pieces of news from me, come from my side. 1, we're back in video. You can check out this video on YouTube later today. 2, I will be doing a podcast in Spanish, which will start next week. And 3, I will be doing a review for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I will let you know when it is up, and you can check it out. So those are 3 pieces of news from me. Now, another thing happened this weekend, which is the Emmys happened. Who, by the way, who gives a fuck? Nobody cared. I didn't even know. Until they mentioned it this morning on the show, I had no idea. I didn't even care. Did you care? I didn't care. It doesn't matter. The Emmys are garbage. And I lost my shit recently when I heard how many fucking nominations Game of Thrones got this for its last season. I was going bonkers. I was losing my shit. Okay? I was really, really, really upset because it did not deserve 90% of them. Game of Thrones had high-quality costumes, even though they don't really make sense in the setting. Like, they looked really cool. Didn't really make any sense. Like, who the fuck is going to start fashioning uniforms and fashioning, like, clothing items and all that stuff while you're in the middle of a war? Before a war, I can get it. But while you're in the middle of it, or you're just about to be thrown into something, I think you got other priorities, you know? You don't need to add a fucking lie into your giant fucking ballista, right? You don't. You just don't. But that's just me. But it looked really cool. Effects looked great. The dragons looked fucking real. It's unbelievable how good the special effects were. Most of them. I have an issue with a few, but I can let those go. Costumes, makeup, all that stuff looked great. Kind of weird, but out of context. And like Daenerys, how long they took on setting up, making Daenerys' hair look like that? You know, all those fucking, I don't even know what you call it. What's the word for it? Pigtail? No, it's not pigtails. I don't know shit about hair. All right, I don't care about hair. But again, you're in the middle of a war and you're about to be riding a dragon. So I think you should just maybe do a ponytail or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous. All right, in the context of it, it was ridiculous, but it looked pretty cool. So I need to. It won. It got nominated. It got a whole bunch of nominations, right? But it won 2. One I can kind of tolerate, but not really. So the first one that it won is Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, and the winner was Peter Dinklage. I can kind of understand that one, but I don't like it. Now, Tyrion's character got brutally butchered since like season 5 or 6. Season 5 or 6, kind of around that part. He just sucked. I remember there was a conversation that freaking Tyrion had with Missandei and Grey Worm, where they basically played I Never Ever. Fucking Tyrion fucking Lannister, the imp, one of the most interesting characters with the best dialogues in the whole freaking series up to that point, and they had him playing I Never Ever. The dude was trying to run a city in the middle of a fucking siege, in the middle of intense political drama where people should not have trusted him because he just came there and he's from the family that hates Daenerys. But the only thing they could come up for him is I Never Ever. It was really bad. It was really bad. But is that Peter Dinklage's fault? Not really. I don't think so. I mean, I guess he could have had a little bit more input. But I guess congratulations, Peter Dinklage. You won an Emmy for walking around half an hour in the final episode. Because that's what the final episode is, just people walking around, and he was there half of it. Walking around for half the fucking final episode. It was ridiculous. It was nuts. Now, all the other nominations, most of them were garbage. Like fucking like D&D got nominated for best directors for the final episode, which sucked Dragon Balls, okay? Well, actually, Dragon Ball C's, it sucked donkey dick, okay? It was a horrible fucking episode, and again, half the time, it was just people walking the fuck around. A whole bunch of unclosed storyline, a whole bunch of bullshit everywhere. Nothing made any fucking sense. Everybody was upset. It was the worst fucking ending possible. But they got fucking nominated for an Emmy. Now, this tells you how bad the Emmys are, or how crappy they are, how much garbage they are. Now, there's a lot of things that I want to go here, and I'm kind of losing my shit a little, but I'll try to control myself. So, D&D got nominated. The other two directors who directed episodes that season, I think it's the guy who directed the first and second episode, which nothing fucking happened, and then the fourth episode, in which nothing fucking happened, he got nominated, and the other guy who directed the battle, the Long Night, which was one of the worst fucking battles I've ever seen on screen, made no fucking sense, just read a military strategy book. One. Just a book. Whatever. Just one. And you'll realize how much of an idiot you are. And then he also directed the second to last episode, which is the one where, spoiler alert, Daenerys kind of burns everything down. Where there was supposed to be another big battle, and then nothing fucking happened in the battle. Like, it was, half the episode was just Arya running around. Now that I think about it, in the long night, Arya's just running around inside the fucking castle. Well, she does other stuff. She's Darth Maul, and then she just runs around in the middle of the fucking battle where everything else is fucking quiet, and she's just running around in the middle of the fucking castle for no fucking reason. Well, running away from the zombies. And then in the second to last episode, Arya's just running around inside the city, dodging a dragon, I guess. So none of it made any fucking sense. Those guys got fucking nominated for Emmys, so to me, the Emmys are garbage. They're garbage. Anyway, the other award, so Peter Dinklage got nominated. He won. I don't think he deserved it. I don't think that the character was anywhere interesting. The performance could be okay. But if your character is really irrelevant in the last season, I don't see the point. Tyrion was really pretty much irrelevant. Like I can't think of anything special that he did other than in the final episode he has a interesting conversation with Jon Snow, one, and then he has the thing of, well, it's the best story. The best story is the one that should, made no fucking sense. But he got nominated, he won. I honestly, out of all the Game of Thrones characters that were nominated for best supporting actor, you got Nicholas Klosterwaldo, which I'm pretty sure that's not how you say his name. Basically, Jaime Lannister, and Alfie Allen, who is Theon Greyjoy. I'm blanked out. So those two dudes were nominated for best supporting actor. Honestly, I think Alfie Allen should take it. Out of those three, I would have given it to Alfie Allen. Alfie Allen is truly an underrated actor, at least in the series. Theon is highly hateable. He is a highly hateable son of a bitch, but he makes you hate him, and then he makes you pity him. Honestly, they gave Alfie Allen nothing to work with, and he made something out of it. Tyrion, they gave him, Peter Dinklage, they gave him nothing to work with, and he kind of muddled through mediocrity. He just made it mediocre. He was like, all right, okay, I'll just do the same thing over and over. Alfie Allen, at least, it was a bit compelling, so his performance to me was a little bit better. Jaime Lannister, they just butchered the character too, and it was a whole lot of nothing. He was getting a chick drunk and banging her, and then, so long. So long, Brianna Tarth. Later. So out of those three, I would have given to Alfie Allen. Now, out of the supporting actresses, they lost. So here are the options for Best Supporting Actress that were nominated for Emmys. Again, all of these from the same fucking show. You had Sophie Turner, you had Gwendolyn Christie, you had Lena Headey, and you had Maisie Williams. I have made my disdain for Arya Stark quite known for a really long time, and so I blame Maisie Williams for this. Because at one point she's the fucking Terminator, and at one point she's just like, oh no, I'm just a little girl, blah, blah. I don't understand her character. Honestly, okay, it's not fair. It's written terribly. Arya was written terribly. She didn't make any sense from the point that she got stabbed multiple times at that point, and survived. So she was written terribly. But Maisie Williams could have kind of played it like Arya is going a little bit crazy. Because Arya is going fucking crazy. Well, actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that. Arya went fucking nuts. Okay? I don't want to get into it. Arya gets me really upset. She murdered her entire fucking family, and she said she was going to cut off her sister's face off and wear it. That's fucking bonkers. Okay? Arya went fucking bonkers. So if Maisie Williams would have played it a little bit like she's gotten mixed identities, maybe. But she didn't, and it sucked. So I have issues with Arya, okay? Don't like her. Anyway, Sophie Turner, the character was just boring, which sucks because Sansa was such an interesting character. In the book, she's such an interesting character because she goes through a whole lot of shit, but she learns. Now, she starts out really dumb, I'll say innocent. She starts out really innocent. She's young. She's like a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, but she learns a lot because of her associations with, first off, she got a really, really, really bad hand. I mean, her direwolf got murdered because of something her sister did, so she got a terrible hand. Sansa got a terrible hand dealt to her, and afterwards, she kind of learns from that. She becomes less trusting. She figures out that I need to learn how to play this game. I need to be cautious. I need to use whatever weapons I have in my disposal. I need to see what other people do. So Sansa's a very interesting character. In the last season, I don't see anything special that came from Sansa other than her not trusting Daenerys for a reason. I mean, she was right, I guess, but you could argue that she was the reason why Daenerys went crazy. Because, I don't trust her. Why? Because, Southerner. I mean, you remember that your mother was a Southerner, right? Do you remember that? You know how your mom, the person you were born from, you know how she was a Southerner? You know, half your family's Southerners? You know how, Littlefinger, the army that he brought from the Vale, Southerners, and all that stuff? Yeah. Didn't make any fucking sense. Really upset me. Anyway, also Brianna Tarth, your bodyguard, your most trusted person that follows you around everywhere, also from the South. You see how this doesn't make any sense? Anyway, so yeah, Sansa sucked. Gwendolyn Christie, Brianna Tarth, terrible character, boring as fuck, nothing interesting. The most interesting part of Brienne was that for some reason Tormund and Jaime wanted to fuck her. Think about it. Brienne was not interesting until somebody wanted to bang her. So she's not interesting because of herself. Now, I give a lot of props to Brienne. Actually, you have to suffer through her chapters in the books. You have to suffer because she's so boring. She's so uninteresting. There's nothing really interesting about her. It's fun to see the fish out of water stuff and her trying to earn her way in the woman earn her way in the male world. It's very interesting. She is probably one of the hardest working characters on the show. She actually, you see her train. I've mentioned this multiple times. After season 3, I think Brianna Tarth is the only character you actually see training with her fucking sword. Well, her and Podrick, they're the only ones. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't say an overwhelming performance, and I don't see why Jaime wanted to bang her. I get Tormund because he was a giant woman and he wanted to make giant babies. I can understand that. Also, that because he's used to wildlings. But I don't understand the whole Jaime of it all. It made no sense. I understand why her wanting to bang Jaime because it's consistent with the whole story throughout. But I don't see it. So her performance was meh. It was okay. The character was fine. But, well, actually, no. The character was not fine. It was boring. But that was the character's role. Supposed to be consistent and boring in there. So I didn't see anything special from Gwendolyn Christie. Lena Headey was the other one that was nominated. Lena Headey should have won that. Well, I mean, okay, out of all of them, if I would have had to give it to anybody, I would have given it to Lena Headey. Again, they butchered her character, but she made every single scene that she was interesting. She is a great actress, and if I would have to give it to any of those, I would have given it to Lena Headey. Best actress there. Terrible storyline, but she made it interesting. Her costumes were really weird. I don't know why, but the point is, she kind of towed the line between crazy or not. The final scene, her final scenes, or her scenes in her final episode, which was the second to last, are super compelling. Like, you actually feel bad for her when she's about to, again, spoiler alert, eat it. But, I mean, I'm sorry. Actually, there's a lot of people who complained that the Emmys spoiled the series because they have a lot of spoilers in there. But by this point, if you're listening to the Rewrite of Game of Thrones podcast, you can't. Well, the Rewrite of Game of Thrones that I do on my podcast, I think I bitched about the season finale enough for that. I'm going to talk about it freely. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm arguing. I don't even know why I'm arguing this. I'm arguing to nobody. Anyway, so yeah, Lena Headey was the best out of all those four. Now, leading actress and leading actor, best, the nominated were Kit Harington and Emilia Clarke. The two worst fucking characters in the show. Not in the books, in the show. They're boring. Their storylines were stupid. They were ruined. I really dislike them. I really, 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 really dislike them. I hate freaking Emilia Clarke for what she did to Daenerys. Kit Harington was always consistently bad. Kit Harington's not a good actor. His best seasons, his most interesting seasons, were when he was with the redhead, what's her name, Rose Leslie, who is now his wife, because they actually had chemistry on screen because they had chemistry in real life. And so those were the most interesting scenes, the whole thing when they banged in the caverns and all that stuff. Interesting stuff, and actually had some weight. After that, Jon's kind of boring. And I did complain about this a lot, that after Jon comes back from the dead, he becomes an even more boring character. He becomes even more morose. It was really annoying. And having those two together as a couple made no fucking sense. It's like they just saw each other like, oh, I like you. Why? Give me a reason. Give me one reason. Nothing made any sense. And I think I complained about Daenerys enough throughout the years, throughout the podcast, that I just don't like Emilia Clarke, okay? I just don't. I don't like Emilia Clarke. I don't like what she did to Daenerys. She's really annoying. She's really petty. And I like that throughout the final two seasons, people started to hate her too. It's like when she met Jon, it was one of those things like, but I'm the queen because, because my father was by rights, by my father, blah, blah. I'm the queen, That's not how the conversation went, but I didn't want to go back and check the line. And to me, it was like, you remember when Tywin told little Joffrey that any man who says that because I'm the king is no true king? Kind of the same thing applies to her, but for some reason people like her. It's probably because, she's an attractive version of Joffrey. Said it, meant it. They're both crazy and they're both petty. Like, no, I'm the queen. Duh. It's me. Yeah, listen to me because That's pretty much it. They're the same character, by the way, if you think about it for a second. Anyway, so they won. They ended up winning. The show ended up winning the biggest award of the night, the outstanding drama series. I need to take a breath. They won the Emmy for outstanding drama series, which, what the fuck? It was the worst season of the show. The worst season by far. It brutally butchered the entire show. Game of Thrones is mostly forgotten by people by now. No, you can tell that nobody's really talking about it. Nobody really cares other than me, because I'm still doing the fucking rewrite thing. It was so bad that I had to do a fucking rewrite. Okay? It was that fucking bad. And it's only made worse because it's a they had a fucking year to do it. They had an extra fucking year to do it and they didn't even do it right. So even the actors have hinted that they're embarrassed of the ending, that they didn't like it, that they thought it was weird and made no sense. There's a whole bunch of shit everywhere. And they gave him the Emmy for Outstanding Drama Series? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is where the Emmys, I've said, no credibility. They have no credibility. Nothing at all. None. Zero. How could you give an Emmy to that piece of garbage? Hot piece of garbage. And I checked out all the other nominees. You know, I don't know most of those shows, to be honest. But I did find it very interesting that Cobra Kai was not in there. Cobra Kai should have been in there. No, not a single nominee for Cobra Kai, which is probably my favorite new show that I've seen in a while. I don't know if it's because it's on YouTube and they don't consider it like an actual show, but there's Amazon shows there. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, Emmys, fuck you. Yeah, fuck you. You suck. Anyway, I believe that's enough for the rant and for that. So, let's just continue. Wait. Did I forget something? No. All right, so I'm going to keep this one short because I already went too long. Anything, I don't know how to speak anymore. Editing this is going to be a bitch. But I'm up for the task. So where we last left off, the Battle of the Stormlands. The Stormlands were about to begin. So what happened? Building up to this point, we're only focusing on what's happening in the Stormlands. Daenerys and her army, they are invading the Stormlands. So she crossed on ship with her Unsullied and the spears from Dorne. Or that's what the Dornish call their soldiers, spears, for some reason. I don't know, they're weird. And in the meantime, the Dothraki were traveling through the Bone Way, which is basically the peninsula. You know, they go to the other side. Anyway, so they were going through the peninsula, and their objective was to go there on foot, and they're going to meet up on the road after the Bone Way. They're going to meet there with the army, and then they're going to go straight to Storm's End. Now, they expected to not find any resistance. However, the Stormlanders had other plans. Jaime Lannister and Bronn and the Lannister soldiers arrived at Storm's End, and they kind of started taking over the operation there. Now, what they did was they took control of everything there, and they told the Stormlanders, "Hey, you guys, you know how you betrayed us? Well, they didn't really betray them because they were following Renly. Whatever. The point is, they said, you guys, you want to make it up to us? Let's get ready for a big fight." And so they started sending all. You know how a dragon is coming? A dragon is coming here, and it's going to be burning up all your towns. And you know what else is coming here? 100,000 Dothraki. And you know what else is coming here? Unsullied. So you have a whole bunch of foreign hordes coming here, who, by the way, their hobby is raping and pillaging. That's their hobby. That's what Dothraki do for fun. They just kill, pillage, plunder, and rape for fun. So they're coming here, and they're coming after your people, and they're bringing a dragon. So yeah, you kind of want it to be on our side, because again, dragon, rape, pillage, plunder, not good. So let's set up a strategy. Right now, our best and strongest position is right here at Storm's End. However, they will not see it coming if we attack them before they get here. So let's try to, while their forces are separate, the Unsullied and the spears are separate from all the Dothraki, then let's strike while we can. So slowly and secretly, because again, the Stormlands, a lot of water, a lot of rain, which means jungle terrain, which means, very thick foresty areas. We can move around in secret and get close enough, and let's see if we can try to take down the dragon. So our plan to take down the dragon is we're going to send Davos Seaworth, the best smuggler around. He's renowned for that. The Onion Knight, along with Bronn here, my homie, my second hand, who has been training with a fucking ballista for a really long time, and a special ballista that actually Gendry helped improve. And so we're going to send you those three dudes, plus, a few other hands, on a ship. They're going to try to smuggle between all the other freaking, all the Dornish ships in the middle of the night. And then on the way out, they're going to try to see if they have an opportunity to take down the dragon before it's on the air. Because once it's on the air, we're kind of fucked. So we need to hit it on the ground. They'll see if we have an opportunity. If not, they'll just keep trying. After, or if they hit the dragon, they will put up a sail with the Baratheon flag. And that will be our signal to attack. Now, why the Baratheon flag and not the Lannister flag, which is something that a lot of people have asked me, like, why not the Lannister flag? Well, the answer to that is technically, the last king was a Baratheon, and you're in the Stormlands where where the bastard of a Baratheon is kind of the leader there. And also, Davos doesn't really give a fuck about the Lannisters, so they would do the Baratheon flag because it is the most legitimate flag. And also, if you remember correctly, it was the Baratheons who beat the Targaryens, so it's also kind of that symbol there. So that's why. Also because Targaryen flags are like, it's a red dragon on a black field, so it could be, the red Lannister dragon. So it could be a little bit confusing. So it's just safer to just do a bright yellow with a crown stag, black crown stag in the middle. Easier to see, easier to spot, way clearer message. Anyway, so that was their strategy. It worked out. Drogon was being checked out at that point, but tested by members of the Citadel. A bunch of maesters from the Citadel, along with Samwell Tarly. However, at the moment that he was being checked out, Daenerys got a letter from Olenna Tyrell saying that, hey, freaking Randall Tarly betrayed me, and the forces of the Reach, they all turned on us because, again, you brought a horde of Dothraki into our land, and they're worried about the whole pillage and plunder and rape thing, and a dragon, and so they betrayed us, and I'm about to be captured, so I barely got a chance to send this letter out. Just beware, we're betrayed. Randall Tarly, betrayal. That's basically what the letter said. That Highgarden was about to be taken by Randall Tully's forces, and who knows what's gonna happen. So Daenerys is like, shit, Randall Tarly betrayed me, and Sam Tarly is right there next to my dragon. So she immediately freaks out, says Drogon Dracarys, and Drogon Dracarys burns pretty much everybody there. He burns everybody, every maester from the Citadel, Sam Tarly along. Now, the people who see this are Davos and Gendry. Now, they don't know the exact context of the situation, because they were on the ship, and they were kind of on the outs. They weren't really sure who they were going to fight for. They're not like, oh, I'm not part of the Lannisters, really, but they were also, they made a deal with the Lannisters for peace in exchange for dragon glass, so they're like, I'm not really sure, but this chick has a dragon, so maybe we can find a way for peace. Maybe she'll be reasonable, maybe she'll help us out. But once they saw that she just burned people, maesters, and Davos recognized Sam Tarly, once they saw that she just burned maesters for no reason, they're like, oh man, this bitch is as crazy as they say. This chick who just burns emissaries is nuts. So they're like, all right, we're in against this crazy ass bitch with the dragon, and that's why on the ship, Bronn shoots at Drogon and boom, gets him right on the side as Daenerys was getting ready to fly out into the Boneway to warn her Dothraki about the upcoming ambush. So they get Drogon right on the side, and he flies out in pain. And so Davos tries to speed the fuck out of there. Because unfortunately, since they were already on the way out and they have a faster ship, all the Dornish ships were not able to catch up or to turn to get them. They managed to get out, and as on their way out, they lifted up the Baratheon flag, which signaled the attack to the Lannister forces, which were already rallying nearby. Again, the plan was to move slowly and quietly up to the area where they could get them. So that's the stage. We got Jaime Lannister and the Lannister and the force of the Stormlands gathering near where the Dornish forces and the Unsullied are freaking landing. So they're not completely set up yet, and they kind of catch him with their pants down because everybody's still kind of like freaked out because Drogon just burned people and then he got shot and then he left in pain, and they got the news that Randall Tarly betrayed them. So the camp's kind of still in disarray, and so you got Jaime Lannister leading one side and Peter, not Peter, fucking Tyrion Lannister. I was going to say Peter Dinklage. And Tyrion Lannister kind of trying to organize the forces on the other because he senses that something's about to go down, right? Now, the Unsullied are the best trained units in the world, right? They're the best trained soldiers in the world. So, Jaime Lannister, on purpose, plans to attack the Dornish side, the side with all the Dornish forces, because they're going to still be in disarray, and if he can cripple them, it might help to cripple out all the others. So, what the Lannister forces decide to do is they charge directly at the Dornish side of the forces. I mean, by rush, I mean on horses. They do a cavalry charge on horse, and so they could get them before. Usually it's not a good idea to rush spears if you're on a horse. Bad idea. However, since if the line's set up, they had no time to set up a line, so they just did in a quick, immediate charge before they could get set up, before things were still crazy, before they had time to prepare. Now, again, the Unsullied already prepared. Their first line was already done immediately. The Dornish, not as good as soldiers, but again, the best soldiers in the world, whatever. So they get charged by the Lannister cavalry and get completely butchered. The Dornish are dying left and right. Their line is in disarray. Everything is in chaos. Tyrion sets up orders and Grey Worm. They set up the Unsullied to kind of try to protect their landing zone and see if they can set up, or if necessary, they need that spot to either retreat or to defend. So he thinks that spot, while inconvenient, because for those of you who don't know, fighting in a beach against a horse, not a good idea. They have all the advantages. They can run faster. You get more tired. The tide tends to come in, so you're fucked. So you don't want to fight. You don't want to fight against cavalry in the beach. They have all the advantages in the world. So he knows that he has to get out of there. However, it's a position that needs defense because all their supplies are there. That's their supply line. If they leave that beach, they're cut off from their supplies. They're cut off from the means of communication. They're going to lose a whole bunch of stuff. Plus, they kind of don't have that many places to go to. The ships that they use to transport them, the whole army, are not enough for them to do a full retreat. So that he would have to leave forces there to die for a real, or they're going to slowly be dying. It's because they have nowhere to go. If they go into the forest and the trees, maybe they could survive a little. But again, in disarray, and the soldiers don't speak the language, and they don't have a rallying point. They don't have nothing. They got caught with their pants down. So for the moment, Tyrion is satisfied with just setting up the line to defend the supplies and everything, and hopefully that the Dornish will get in control by the time that all the after the first volley, well, not the first volley, but after the first rush from the Lannister forces, which he severely doubts. So while he's contemplating this, he's like, all right, I have a little bit of time. He notices that the Stormlanders are setting up a line right in front of them, basically cutting out the trees, or the tree line where they could have gone into. And at the same time, he sees in the distance siege weapons coming out. Trebuchets being set up. Catapults. Ballistas being set up in the distance. Which means that if the Unsullied stay there on that beach, they will be massacred by the siege weapons. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Archers getting set up and shooting at them. So they have really nowhere to hide. They're wide open. They're exposed, and they're about to be hit by heavy artillery, and they're already being shot at by fucking arrows. Let me tell you the options for Tyrion again. To his back is the ocean. To his front is lines and lines of Stormlanders who, there might be more of them in the trees. He doesn't know. It's their terrain. To the right is just a whole bunch of beach, which would leave them in the same situation that they are now. They'd just be running parallel to the beach. However, they would get closer to the siege weapons, which may or may not be a good thing. However, it would expose them to the back, where they could be rushed by cavalry forces, which are to their left. So, basically, he's fucked. He's fucked. He's fucker than fucked. He is beyond screwed. So what does Tyrion Lannister decide to do? In order to save the largest number of soldiers possible, he orders the Dothraki to rush to his left. So they're going to rush straight at the cavalry that is currently harassing the Dornish spears. So again, this is what happens. This is Tyrion's logic. Can't go to the back. There's an ocean there. No way you can swim all the way back to Dorne. To his front, there's who knows how many lines of Stormlanders impeding their way to get into the trees. To the, let's say, front to the right, there's artillery coming out of the woods, and they're going to be and plus archers. So if they had to fight somebody, that's the easiest fight. However, if they go that way, they will leave their asses exposed to, first off, the Stormlanders, and second off, to the cavalry from the Lannisters. or the Lannister cavalry. So what he decides to do is go straight at the Lannister cavalry, which is kind of busy with the Dornish forces. So he goes straight at them in the hopes that they would kind of impede their attack a little, fuck them up, and also gather a few more forces, and hopefully that they would be able to get the fuck out of there and regroup fast enough so that they cannot, that the cavalry cannot, again, remuster and charge at them before they reach the forest, well, the jungle, to their left. So that's what they do. They start charging straight at the cavalry, which is, again, distracted with all the Dornish forces. And they managed to get them by surprise a little. Well, not really by surprise, but they just, a few of them that weren't really paying attention, they managed to spook them a little. The cavalry decides to go away, collect, and then set up for another attack. While they're running, the Stormlanders are rushing right at them. Tyrion manages to organize the Dornish a little so that they can run for the fucking hills again. And once while they're still being shot at by arrows, they're being harassed by horses, but they managed to make it far enough into the forest that they could turn around and set themselves up in a defensible position. Now, in the forest, they still have to deal with the Stormlanders who are still there for a fight. However, their rear is protected by the Unsullied, so they manage to hold them off. The Stormlanders see that this is not a fight that is convenient for them, and they decide to retreat a little. So Jaime Lannister and the Stormlanders take the win. However, Tyrion is able to get out of there with his life and with at least half of their forces still not really intact, but the army survived. They weren't completely broken. They were crippled. Let's say a little bit crippled. Not even crippled. They still managed to get out of there mostly intact. Well, at least the Unsullied did. The Dornish got really their asses handed to them. Bad. So that's how that would end. That's it for today. I will continue with what happens in the other side of that next episode. Also with what happened to the Daenerys. There's a whole bunch of stuff. What happened with Randall Tarley's betrayal? How did that go down? What's gonna happen to the Dothraki? What's gonna happen with everybody? So we'll continue with that next episode. That's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram. I believe I covered everything. I think it's pretty clear. Hopefully the images that I'm going to set up here later on today make it a little bit more clear. But if, again, any comments, questions, suggestions, you can find me. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.